Tuning In. Written by Richard Roberts. Narrated by Henry Jones. 1. Tuesday, October 2nd. Jon Gunnarson felt the energy rise within his opponent an instant before she attacked. Then she charged forward, her hands and feet slashing in complex patterns, faster than he could think and react to. But he'd become one with her and the space around them, and somehow his body knew exactly where to be. In a fluid, weightless dance, he twisted her wrist and used her momentum to bring her safely past him and down. In that brief respite, an ethereal, feminine voice filled his mind. "This is not Jon." He'd never heard it before, but knew it meant that his movements were coming from somewhere, from something other than himself. Distracted, his deep connection to his opponent, Chodak Nima, and the space around them, faltered. He saw again the crowd of people lining the walls of the dojo, the hint of concern rising on his sensei's face. Nima rose up from her fall. Jon backed away to buy himself a few seconds and considered asking for a short break to reconnect. After all, he was hoping to earn Rokudan, the highest level in the martial art, Aikido. But to him, the message felt belittling, denying him any credit in one of his finest moments. So he resisted, wanting to prove he could win without relying on his gift. His ego took control, and he watched for clues of her next attack. Nima's knuckles suddenly banged into his face and the side of his head like ballpoint hammers. He reeled backward, blinking, and noticed how she was turning again, trying to get behind him. He thought to follow her, to grab her wrist and pull her arm. Nima reversed, as though she'd felt his intent, and whipped her elbow, slamming it into his temple. An explosion of sound and light filled his mind. He lost control of his body, and the gray vinyl mat rushed up to meet him. It took him a long moment to accept what had just happened. Then he slammed his fist down, the floor booming with his failure. Minutes later, Jon paced outside the dojo, scrubbing his face with his towel, recognizing the stupid risk he'd taken by trying to think his way through a fight. He wadded the towel and threw it against the wall. The large door of the converted California barn squeaked open, and Nima snuck out, wrapped in her maroon robe. She kept her eyes low as she came over to him, flapping in her sandals, nodding to a wooden bench. "What happened?" she said, once they'd settled next to each other. Wrinkles framed her narrow, dark eyes, and patches of gray and white mixed together in the stubble on her scalp. "I don't know," he said, not ready to admit the strange voice he'd heard earlier. The large wind chime gonged, low and heavy in the warm breeze. "When I learned who I'd fight today, who you were," she said, "I thought how this life was coming full circle." "Yeah, quite the coincidence. I was afraid I might hurt you." Jon had been 7, visiting the Tiger's Nest Monastery in Bhutan with his mother when he first met Nima. She'd introduced him to Aikido, a martial art focused on bringing both fighters to a safe place. Now, at 40, he hadn't spoken with her until today, when she'd visited his dojo to practice while traveling in her duties as a senior Buddhist nun. "I think if I had won today," he said, "Sensei Haruto's would have advanced to Rokudan." "You try again." "I guess. But today wasn't just about rank. He's hiring an instructor, a protege, and if Jordan rises to Rokudan first, he'll probably get the job." A thump came from the barn as someone tumbled to the mat inside. Jon didn't want to face his sensei and Jordan as they came out, so he led Nima up a steep deer trail to an outcropping of rock above the dojo. Tan hills rolled in every direction, dotted with the black cows of West Marin dairy farms. Leaning on the rock, he had a clear view of the dojo, of Jordan's family hugging him on the front porch. This place, Jon's main source of social interaction for the past 2 years, now felt almost foreign. "It's beautiful here," Nima said,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?